There are so many different ways to script a video, but today I'm going to teach you my personal method and what has always worked for me. And in basically 99% of my videos, I get this type of retention that you see on your screen. My lines are always super duper flat. Now, there is some stuff you have to consider when making the scripts and the voiceover, which we will talk about in a second. By the way, for all of you wondering why my eye is black, it's from boxing, so still a bit dark, but yeah, let's get into the video. When it comes to my main principles for scripting, these are the three. Number one being cut the BS. I'm going to be honest, nobody cares in short form content about the little bits of personality you want to add to your script. This is short form content, you want to get straight to the point. In long form, it's completely different because you can add your personality and people know they're clicking to watch a longer video. Whereas in short form, people are clicking to watch shorter video. So there's a big difference between, for example, me saying, this police officer was just called to the scene to save this dog, compared to this police officer just saved this dog. They're two completely different hooks, completely different intros. The second one is much better because it goes straight to the point. No beating around the bush. Number two of my main principles is to deliver information as quickly as possible. As I just said, you want to get straight to the point, but this isn't just for the hook. You want to do it throughout the video. Now, we will talk about rehooks later on, which I've put here in brackets. It's like taking a lollipop from a kid. Because if you keep giving a kid a lollipop and you eventually take a lollipop from him, or like you take one of his favorite toys, he will all of a sudden like get pissed off and he'll get angry. It's the same with scripting. If I keep feeding the viewer information, they're really happy that I'm feeding them this information, and then I hit like a rehook, put a little bit of curiosity in there, all of a sudden they're like, whoa, what the fuck, what just happened? And before they know it, they've watched the whole video. And number three is perspective. You can turn nothing into something. I am being dead serious. With the right perspective and with the right script, you can make nothing into something. Now, this is very hard to teach, and it usually comes with experience and creativity from a personal point of view as a creator, but I will try my best to pass down my knowledge to you guys. Number one, the hook. This is the most important part of your short video, no matter what, because if I don't make it past the first 3 seconds, then I'm obviously not going to see the next 10. For me personally, I always take a straight to the point, extreme approach to the hook. I always use keywords like hated, or the craziest, something like that, something of that nature. Or you might also use like a question hook, which kind of starts as, at first, this may look like something stupid, but it's actually genius. As I said, scripting can be nuanced. I'm giving you guys the source, what has personally worked for me and what works every time when I make a video for it to get like really, really flat graphs. Like you can see most of the videos on this channel are extremely flat graphs and they use this exact same principle. So in terms of the hook, that's what I do. I've also given you another example here, which is more of a happy one, not so much of like a controversial, hated one. For example, Fortnite just announced the craziest update ever. It's something super simple. You might not think it'll work, but it works really well because it's straight to the point and it has the word craziest. Compared to like if I was to say Fortnite just announced a new update. There's a big difference. Fortnite just announced the craziest update. Fortnite just announced a new update. Big difference. Let's move on to the next thing. The next thing that is extremely important is the next sentence after the hook. This is because you could have grabbed the viewer's attention with the hook. You could have said, we're going to be talking about this in this video. And then the next sentence, if it's about something completely different or irrelevant to the topic, obviously the viewer's going to click off. And that happens a lot. It happens to me a lot as well. For example, right here, the videos start really strong. And then after the hook right here, you see kind of it drops. This happens to everyone. And the point is to try and minimize this as much as you can. And the best way to minimize this is by having a very good start to the next sentence. Now, this is very, very, very dependent on the video idea itself. But what I tend to do that works really well is relating that first sentence back to the hook. So for example, if I'm talking about a gun in a game, this is the most hated gun in the game. And I show it and it's like blurry, but you can kind of make out and you can tell what gun I'm talking about in that game. In the next sentence, when I say the Scar is the worst gun in the game because blah, 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 for example, it is related back to the hook. And as a result, people click off less. And I actually did it for all of these videos right here. Like if we take a listen. Hate this pistol. Why do pros hate this pistol? The USPS is used by more than... Why do pros hate this pistol? And then I'll talk about the USPS. The same for this video, for example. 75% of pros use stretched res, but why? Stretched res works by 75% of pros use stretched res, but why? Then straight away, the next sentence, stretched res. So the topic of the video itself I'm mentioning it straight away in the first sentence after the hook. And you can see here, there's not like a huge drop off like there was here. Here there was like a sharp drop off. But in these other videos, I did it the exact same in all of these other videos. There is no such sharp drop off. So that's what has worked really well for me. Let's get on to the next part, which is the rehook. Now I don't use a rehook every single time in one of my videos. It really depends on the video idea. But if I'm talking about something informative and I'm saying, you know, why are so many people doing this? And then I give a bunch of advantages as to why. And then I say, but it comes with one major disadvantage. That will be the rehook. Because I've just given you a bunch of these details as to why this is so good. And I'm saying, okay, this actually isn't that good. So it kind of catches the viewer off guard and keeps them interested into the video because I'm providing as much value as possible to the viewer. You can do this in numerous ways. It doesn't have to be just like, but it comes with one major disadvantage. It can be until you realize X. This usually works really well with storytelling type of videos that I actually create as well. But when I'm making a story type of short, and I'm talking about a certain topic, for example, Herobrine is the creepiest Minecraft character until you realize he's actually fake. So that's the rehook right there. Imagine that halfway through a short. That's kind of what the rehook would look and sound like when you use this sentence. This sentence is actually probably my favorite one to use for rehooks because it just flows super well with every video. It kind of just like glides off the tongue super smoothly. And most of the people don't even realize they're in a rehook by the time you finish the sentence. So that usually works really well for me. And I recommend everyone uses that. But let's move on to the next thing. And this is the last thing about scripts in general, and that is the voiceover and the tonality. Now, I'm sure a lot of you guys use AI voiceovers. That's completely fine. But this then goes out to the people that don't use AI voiceovers and actually use their own voice to script and to voiceover, just like I do. The way you make the words sound is extremely important. There's a big difference between me saying, this is very sad, and then me saying, this is very sad, right? A very big difference, an extremely big difference. Because in the first one, I'm kind of happy, but I'm saying this is sad. So what the fuck am I talking about, you know? But in the second one, it relates to what I'm talking about. I'm talking about something that's sad and I'm making my voice deeper and lower. So the tonality is very important. You can also use the tonality to your advantage when you're using a rehook. Because if you're keeping up this one tone throughout the video about advantages of a gun, for example, this is great, this is great, this is great, but that's the tonality, but blah, 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 blah. The tonality is extremely important. Another really cool thing to do with more so the voiceover is actually the speed of the voiceover. When I first started YouTube, I used to think, you know, I have to say this as fast as possible. This script, I have to say it as fast as possible. And the reality is that's actually not the case. For some reason, and I actually stole this from one of the people that's in my private Discord, which isn't paid for, by the way. I don't sell anything. It's just an invite only server. One of them actually takes his time like a lot when he talks in shorts. And you think, you know, people would click off because he's taking his time and they wouldn't want to listen. But for some reason, that's not the case. Because when you take it slower, it makes the viewer focus more on what you're saying. And also kind of like slightly pisses them off because you're being a bit slow. So it makes them like really want to know what you're going to say. What is the video about? And yeah, for some reason it works really well. So I'll definitely recommend taking your time when you speak. If you guys want me to review your channel, just drop it below in the comments. I'm more than happy to review it. And I also suggest you join our Discord. We're currently pushing 250 members just from 4 videos. So there's a lot of value that's being said here. And I do lots of live streams where you guys can come, you can ask me any questions, whatever it may be, whatever that's troubling you, and I will help you out. So consider checking that out. Link is in the description.